We're here today at the World's Fair of Money in Philadelphia with noted coin author and numismatic expert Scott Travers. Scott has authored the Coin Collector's Survival Manual and some other books that we all know about. Scott, we know you're a really busy guy, so thank you for taking the time to sit down with us today.
Well, you're pretty busy yourself.
Well,
thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
So is this a great show for you?
It's been a very good show for us, actually. We've released our new Gray Sheet magazine format, and that's been very well received, so thanks for asking. It's been good for us.
The formula for this show is the correct formula that should be used by the ANA and other organizations for all shows. It's an East Coast show. It's a show that, for the most part, has the right recipe for success. There are great coins that are being displayed at the show, those 1933 St. Gaudens double eagles. That attracts the public. It attracts people who are serious collectors.
Yes.
There was a 1913 nickel in an auction. That's a great thing. There were people at that auction that showed up that I haven't seen for 30 years. I thought some of those people were dead, and suddenly they're sitting there.
And here they are.
They're alive, and they're looking at a catalog.
That's true. That's true. I agree. This coin show has all the ingredients of what a successful ANA should look like.
It's one of the best shows that I've seen in the last 10 or 20 years.
Great, great. I feel that way, and I have asked as many dealers as I can around the floor, and I'm getting, I would say, strong vibes from people. I mean, no one's saying that they're hitting it out of the park, and no one would be expected to say that. However, the majority I've spoken to have said it's been a decent to strong show for them. So that's good.
So the industry needs to do more things like this to attract this type of a crowd.
Right.
Even if the people aren't ultimately buying a lot of coins,
Right.
It feels better and the psychological impact is significant.
Right. I mean, I think the way things are trending, with the internet and e-commerce, that really a show is more about a good vibe and a good feeling for collectors, and having them come to Philadelphia with, city full of history. And frankly, the convention center is extremely well located. People are telling us that they love the venue and the location, the fact that the Reading Market is right next door with the best food in the country for lunch, for sure. And so people like it here, and then they go home, and then they are hopefully have good feelings about coin collecting, and that's what we want to leave with. And you're right. I spoke with the Mint director yesterday. The new Mint director came to the show, and he was fascinating and very well engaged. And they brought their 1933 20s, including this new coin that was turned in recently. That's got to be a great story. And so it was just fascinating to see those coins, as well as the 1913 nickel that sold last night. And we're going to see the 54 S5 sell today, I presume, and the Washington gold medal, and lots of exciting things to talk about.
So does seeing the U.S. Mint here with its booth and with its various products, in your mind, does that accentuate the fact that there are so many Mint products and they compete with numismatic dealers?
You're asking me. I don't have a strong feeling. When I see the Mint and its booth, I don't see temptation. So that's personal. I barely look at new issues, and I never have when I came to an ANA show. I'm just interested in the fact that the ANA is here and they're engaged. The Mint is here and they're engaged, because that's strong for us, and we need to. And when I spoke to the Mint director, I said, whatever CDN can help get you closer to this community, because I think there is a bit of a disconnect between what the Mint issues and what the collector community wants. It's a bureaucracy. It's hard to get them to listen and affect any change without going through committees. But hopefully, we can make a voice and make some difference. I think people like you and I are among the few people who don't have a horse in that race that they'll listen to. And we never know how that goes, but it's nice that they're here. Let's just start with that, and so I like it. I don't think that modern issues compete with real collectors of classic coins, and I wouldn't want to say that you're not a real collector if you're collecting modern issues. That's where it starts, right?
Yeah, but we have a limited number of people who are coin buyers,
right?
And the Mint, with its hundreds of millions of dollars in coin sales, serves as a significant drain from dealers who have brick and mortar shops and who are selling coins online. It's a significant drain from those individual dealers and their sales.
Correct, but the Mint can also grow the market as faster than they can take it away. So if they do a good job in their marketing and growing the market that presumably there will be more collectors that they've brought in than they've let's say, taxed out with sales, I think.
The Mint does a great job with marketing. They do such a good job with marketing. They sell a lot of coins. The problem is that the coins that they sell don't have much of an aftermarket, or at least some of them don't, and many coins end up being worth only the value of the metal.
Right.
So it's problematic.
Right. I agree. I don't disagree with that one bit, and that's a complicated discussion, but
It'd be interesting if the Mint were to make a two-way market in coins. Even some
kind of like
two-way
Ticketmaster,
market.
like a Ticketmaster situation.
I wouldn't discount it.
Yeah, well, there was a time when I thought eBay should be linked up with the Mint, and instead of the Mint website crashing every time they came out with a new undervalued issue, that the Mint would receive the full value of those issues rather than straight to secondary market. But I don't know if I feel like eBay listens any better than the Mint, so I don't know who I can get to effectuate change at this point. One day, one battle at a time, I suppose. So let's jump into another conversation because I think we could spend days here. I'd like to get a feeling from you on what coins that you think are currently the best value in the market today.
The best value of the market are coins which have the highest precious metal content and high precious metal value and very low premium over the precious metal value. So if you look at $20 gold pieces, St. Gaudens Double Eagles, and Liberty Head $20 gold pieces in grades of 62 and 63, the premiums that those coins are selling for above the value of the metal are almost nothing. It's extraordinary what kind of values we're seeing in the 20s right now.
Correct.
And you can get coins that are certified by NGC or PCGS, even some with CAC verification, and pay just a tiny premium over the melt value of the gold. Now, much of this is as a result of purportedly 10 or 15 million of these coins located somewhere in Europe, most of them apparently in France, but there's some in other countries too, and other countries such as Spain are selling their coins off, those that have premiums, and they're replacing the bullion with pure bullion.
Right.
And so this is where the value is right now. And it's very exciting in a way, and it's sad in another way, because there are many people who bought some of these coins back in 1988 or 1989 and paid extraordinary premiums, and now you can buy many of these coins for just a little bit over the melt value.
Correct. They'll come out. Those people will come out okay because spot prices have increased so dramatically, even at today's lower levels compared to 88, 89 spot pricing. However, I agree with you. I think that if you're going to invest in a tangible asset like gold, that you can buy a 19th century or early 20th century St. Gaudens at basically at melt today. I think if you wanted to put in an order for $1 million, $2 million worth of this of St. Gaudens, you could get them at melt or maybe a point back. I don't know. At least as they melt at their melt
Yes, that's right.
phase.
Yep.
And that's compelling because that's got potential not only to increase with the value of gold, but then the premiums will come back to maybe the 4 or 5% mark where they should be. I think what's happening in Europe and South America, from what I understand, it's a finite supply, of course. It's a large supply that's finite and will eventually, it'll end. Few years time, and then excitement will come back to the metals like it always does, and then you'll have a double win, as it were.
It's brought down the value of 65 Saints also.
Yes.
I mean, I have a Mint State 65, 1928 right here, and what's interesting about this coin is it was graded at a time when grading standards were somewhat more conservative than they are right now. So this coin, which is hand-picked by me, and a 65 holder, the old green holder of PCGS, and verified by CAC, even though a coin with this type of eye appeal and the old PCGS holder back in 1988 might have sold for $3,000 or $4,000, this particular coin, if it were to be cracked out of the holder, it would regrade 66, possibly even 67.
Possible.
So you can't even go by the historical price performance data on these kinds of coins, because if you look back to 1988, you might see $3,500 for 65. Right. And if you look at the price today, you're going to see maybe, what is it now, $1,900? What's a 65 Saint going for? About $1,900?
With a CAC sticker, yeah, about $1,900.
Right.
Less without.
So, but in this particular coin, if you crack it out and get a 66 or a 67 out of it, a 67 might be a $10,000 coin.
Sure.
So the price
are you feeling lucky?
data, yeah, it's not a matter of luck. This is not luck. Buying this type of a coin in an old green holder is by design. I was able to pick this coin out by the combination of my book knowledge combined with practical experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, getting it into a 67 holder, that might be a little bit of luck, but a 66 is a lock.
Sure. I looked at the coin and I agree with you completely, I think. And it wouldn't surprise me to see that coin in a 67
In a
holder.
67 holder, absolutely, on the right day.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Let's shift gears a little bit. And you're here at the ANA show. You're delivering a number of talks. You know, you're with the NLG, and that's fantastic. I know you just had a meeting, and you're having a big event this evening. And congratulations on all that. You've had an illustrious career in numismatics, and maybe for just a few minutes you could share some of those highlights. Because I think people really like to hear about things like that.
Well, in 1978, the ANA selected me as the Outstanding Young Numismatist of the Year. And with that honor, where I was working with Florence Shook in her Young Numismatist program as a young numismatist, came a collection of gold coins in recognition of the honor, a typeset from quarter eagle through double eagle. And I still own that typeset today. And it symbolizes the great participation in the ANA programs during my youth. Before ANA selected me Outstanding Young Numismatist of the Year, ANA awarded me a scholarship to Colorado College for the summer seminar. It's important for our young people to still have these programs today. It's motivational participatory education. You give a young person a group of coins, or you give the young person something of value in numismatics, and that's going to inspire him or her to make coins a lifetime endeavor, which I've done for myself. So that certainly was a highlight, but what put me in the national limelight was authoring the Coin Collector's Survival Manual, which is now in its revised 7th edition from Penguin Random House. I authored that book in 1984. And on the heels of the success of that book, authored Travers' Rare Coin Investment Strategy, and then went on to author another half a dozen books, which have sold a couple of million copies since then.
Yes.
So I have a good time, and I think the key to success is just to hang out, play with coins with your friends, deal in millions of dollars worth of coins, make money for people. Probably my career highlight came recently, because in the face of a declining bullion market, I went on the record in my new position as the money connoisseur for Bottom Line Personal, which is the largest analog newsletter in the world. And I told people to buy Rhodium when Rhodium was $700 an ounce. And as we're sitting here right now, Rhodium is $2,285 an ounce. And I gave the advice to buy Rhodium to friends, to casual
You're the man behind the Rhodium
acquaintances, to long-term clients.
You must have said something to John Albanese, because he told me to buy Rhodium.
Yes.
I did not. I did not listen.
The Rhodium recommendation came to me from a client and longtime friend who back in 2010, when he was buying gold coins, he said, "Scott, do me a favor. Take $10,000 and buy Bitcoin. It's only 50 cents a coin." So I didn't buy the Bitcoin, and so years later he came back, he said, "Scott, did you buy the Bitcoin?" I said, "I didn't." He said, "Well, if you had followed my advice, as my local bartender did, who's since retired and living in China." if you followed my advice and you had bought $10,000 in Bitcoin, it would be worth $180 million. So I said, I'm just not comfortable with cryptocurrency. He said, well, you're an analog guy. So my recommendation is, I'm going to give you an analog recommendation. Do some research on Rhodium and tell me what you think. So I researched it, and John Albanese researched it with me, and we agreed. Rhodium was the place to be at $600 or $700 an ounce. Okay. So I went on the public record, and I recommended Rhodium. And I have casual friends and relatives who bought this, and people made 100, 200, 300%.
Good for you.
And some people weren't believers. They were a little skeptical. I mean, even Lynn Varens, sitting here out in our informal audience, who served as managing editor of CoinAge, I told her to buy Rhodium, and had you done that when I told you to buy Rhodium and made that recommendation, you would have doubled your money by now on that. So that's one of my highlights. It's always fun in the face of a declining bullion market to recommend something that works.
Okay, rare coins and Rhodium. We're not necessarily in that order, apparently. So, interesting. So,
well, coins and metals are connected. Maurice Rosen has the term economic justification. So you see $3,000 gold, that's going to pull up the whole coin market. And you see $800.
He's been calling for $3,000 gold for about 24 years now.
You see $800 gold, and that's going to pull down the rare coin market. And you see gold back at $1,923 an ounce. You're going to see a lot of people cashing out their gold in gold coins, because that's what the old high was back in August of 2011, 1923. So people are using that as a benchmark. That's their secret number. Gold hits 1923, they're going to sell their gold.
What happens when gold hits 800?
It's possible.
It's possible.
And I dare say it's possible. And a lot of this is linked to China. And as all these people are looking at this one number all the time, and gold, the number that gold is, and gold's continuing to go down. The cost of production of gold is going to keep it pretty close to $1,000 an ounce. I'd really be surprised to see it go under 900, but I would not be surprised to see it briefly dip under 1,000. I think the chance of that happening is about 20%. As I'm speaking and saying that today on the 16th of August, 2018.
Well, my theory about gold, and I don't predict levels at all, because I have no ability to, but I do predict that if it were to hit in the 900 area, let's say 900 as a plausible number, that would really be a big boost. First of all, I think we'd be a big bounce at that level, but also retail gold would become a price point at $9.99. So what we know is that a lot of the big marketers in the coin business would love to sell a St. Gaudens and MS65 at $9.99. And at $900 gold, they could do it. And they would sell a lot of it. And that would draw a lot of people. And so I am sort of secretly, I wouldn't say hoping for, I don't know, but I don't like the plateau we've been sitting at in the 12 to 1350 range forever, which is just getting nobody's interest peaked. If we drop to 900, 925, and we can see large promoters coming in, selling gold at $9.99 an ounce, I think that would be really interesting to see how the market reacts, and I think you might see an influx of new buyers. And if then, of course, it bounces back up to 12, 1300, then those people are rewarded quickly. They're happy. They continue to buy, so it might just be the surge we need to hit that bottom.
Now we have to wrap this up. I have to be at a board meeting right now.
Well, okay. You filled up the time with a fascinating conversation.
I think. The one thing we didn't talk about are the areas to stay away from.
Okay.
And I'd like to make one point, and I know this was a question you weren't able to ask. It was on the script. Just because something is a sleeper, and just because something's come down in value 70 or 80% or 90%, doesn't mean it's a good value now.
Okay.
So I've been saying for several years now that vintage silver commemorative coins are a bad value, and they are going to continue to go down in value. And I like to be on the record as still holding that point of view. I don't think that silver commemorative coins are going to recover anytime soon. I think there's a lot of potential with gold commemorative coins.
Interesting.
But in terms of the silver commemorative coins, they're going to continue
No.
on their downward slope.
If I could ask you to clarify that, to me, there's two distinct segments of that market. There's the sort of, let's say, stock and trade, MS65 and below, 66 and below, where, you know, an Elgin, an MS66, or, you know, those coins have been dogs for a long time.
And they will continue to be.
But what we are seeing, and we've had some conversations at the show from people who've said that the 67 plus coins, these registry, these top quality coins, of course, coins with color, those are starting to actually break records in some ways. I don't know about records. I haven't analyzed that.
They're not ever going to go back to where they were before. If you have a coin, I mean, I remember being at a coin convention and someone back in the late 1980s, and a gentleman came up to me with an Oregon Trail commemorative. He had just bought it at an auction for about $50,000 in Mint State 68 or Mint State 69, I think it was. And I don't think we're ever going to see those levels again anytime soon. So it might be nice to see a coin like that sell for $20,000,
Sure.
but it's still not going to achieve the high benchmark that it saw back in 1989. And in terms of the generic commemoratives, they're going to continue their downward decline.
Okay. Well, they're certainly inexpensive, so there's not a lot of danger in them either.
Now, I buy some of those for myself. I mean, I bought a York commemorative.
How much can you lose at this
I bought
point?
a York commemorative in Mint State 67 the other day. The coin previously was thousands of dollars.
Sure.
And I bought a CAC coin. The coins I buy for myself, the vintage coins, I would only buy CAC, and I advise my customers now to really just stick with CAC verified coins unless they're dealing with a dealer that they've known for many years, and unless the coin is in an older holder where they know it's stable and the coin's not going to change color in the holder, and they know the grading standard was from a period of time when grading was more conservative.
Sure. Well, look, we've taken enough of your time. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
This has been an excellent interview, one of the most enjoyable I've had.
It was an honor and a privilege, and it was one of my most enjoyable interviews, and I'm glad I was able to express my success with the Rhodium.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Scott. Great to see you.